22, but we found somebody willing to stay up late to talk about the Democratic debate. A friend of the Final Five, Stephen Kent from Young Voices, who's up late live with me here on the Final Five. Welcome back. Good to see you in studio in person.
I'm here.
You're here.
Nice to be here.
You watched the debates?
I did.
What was the big takeaway for you tonight?
Well, Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, finally woke up. This was the first of 3 debates where Joe Biden actually really stuck up for himself. I mean, it was really kind of shocking to see. Sometimes he even had like kind of crazy eyes as he was actually going to bat for the Obama administration and his record, a very long history in D.C. And I personally felt like he actually now cared to run for president.
Did you notice a number of times in this debate that each candidate took painful steps, pained steps rather, to praise President Obama, where it seemed like in previous debates they were kind of pulling back from the Obama name?
It was, I mean, that's been really interesting to see that the Obama administration has become anathema on health care, on issues of immigration and foreign policy. But now you have like Julian Castro actually trying to claim the mantle of what Obama was trying to go for. Huge change, and it's really kind of unclear why tonight was the night everybody went for the Obama administration's endorsement, but that might just be it. It is time to get an Obama endorsement.
It is curious because there was so much made about the bromance between President Obama and Vice President Biden, and a lot of Republicans are saying, where's the Obama endorsement? We haven't seen that yet, but I'm glad you mentioned Julian Castro, because he was someone who made an impression in other debates, but tonight it seemed like his goal tonight was to take down Joe Biden. Get-go.
Well, Kamala has deflated almost entirely.
Are you surprised by that, by the way? Because she was gangbusters after that first debate.
I am. I mean, my dad personally is like, this is the person who's gonna rise to the top. I was like, no, I don't see that happening, and I think it actually is starting to unravel quite a bit. Where she doesn't even seem to have answers anymore. She laughed at many of her own comments in response to stuff, and Julian jumped right in there and started doing all the same tactics that she had been using in the past debates.
Yeah, one other person, another frontrunner, somebody who's actually made some inroads in some polling recently has been Bernie Sanders. I think when we saw Bernie Sanders tonight, we mentioned off the top of the show. I mean,
Bernie Sanders.
That was a very.
I felt really bad for him.
I mean, here's the thing: the energy was there, but if you just tuned in and heard him, I think the first thing people said was they're ignoring what he said. They're just focusing on how he sounded.
Yeah, I mean, you get this with a lot of the older candidates, and I try not to play that game too much. They are old. We're
going to be that age someday.
Every single day, their voices are going to go out. It happens. But, you know, the crowd turned against Castro when he went after Biden for his age and for his ability to sort of say things perfectly. And I happen to believe that real voters at home are not as critical of Joe Biden, his memory and his ability to say things perfectly, as the pundit.
Which, by the way, it came out afterwards, Julian Castro, whatever he was trying to link Joe Biden to, wasn't necessarily. That was a mischaracterization of what he was saying.
It's always a mischaracterization.
So last night we saw a tease from Andrew Yang's camp saying he was going to do something that nobody ever did, and then he just decided he's going to be, you know, Regis. And yell, who wants to be a millionaire? Except he was giving away $1,000 to
I found $1,000 underneath my couch cushion while I was watching. Andrew, is this from you?
I think some people would call that a bribe.
Or something really bad went on in my hotel. No, I mean, it was incredibly strange. And I saw your bit earlier. I mean, it was kind of a letdown. Like, really, that's it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought he was going to try to roll out something that we didn't expect, and he makes everything about universal basic income. So it's more the norm.
Beto O'Rourke is somebody who I think came into this race gangbusters. People thought that he was going to be a difference maker. He has languished really in the polls. He seemed to find after El Paso, using that because that's his hometown, that's his area.
Sure.
He was using that as sort of his linchpin. A lot of the candidates came back to thanking him for things that he said, but it was very controversial. He said, yeah, I'm going to come after your AR-15s.
Yeah, so probably the one big takeaway from me for a moment in this debate was when Kamala Harris was asked about what she's going to actually be able to do on executive action on gun control. The host referenced to President Trump and his troubles in making anything happen on immigration because the courts get in the way in this country. That's the thing that happens. And Kamala laughed. She didn't know what to do with this, and she kicked it to Joe. And it was the moment where I think you see that a lot of these Democrats, particularly in the issue of guns, they don't know what they're going to do. And Beto is someone they just thank for saying, hey, thank you for taking the most extreme position. Thank you for your bravery. Yeah. But his bravery is just a form of like expressing his virtue and his solidarity. But it's not a policy agenda.
Yeah. We're going to follow this for sure. All of this going on, and I think if you have to walk away from this saying one person, I always hate to say a winner, and especially when you're looking at this, who do you think had the best night?
Joe Biden.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the first time I think anybody, when we've done these debate shows, somebody said that, because it was just always the first one was the Kamala.
The expectations were always so high for him, and he always went under. And tonight was the night that he actually, like I said, showed up and was ready to fight.
Last question for you. Before, you know, we've had you on the show many times before, and we've had you come in because you used to be a Republican. If you look at anybody on the stage tonight, was there anybody, do you think, would make a play towards moderate voters, people who may have voted Republican in the past, or do they feed into the narrative that they're way too left-wing for the rest of mainstream America?
The only person who can do that is Andrew Yang. I say that slightly reluctantly because he's such a strange candidate.
Yeah.
But his base and his support online and in the grassroots is from people all over the political spectrum: libertarians, Republicans, Trump voters, and the far left, who are all interested in this idea of universal basic income. He doesn't demean people. He talks about real issues. When you hit him a question, he actually will talk to you about tariffs and what we're going to need to do. Particularly on the issue of immigration. I mean, he actually tells an immigrant story, and he tells about how immigrants make the country stronger and come here to work. And the far left has sort of just taken the issue of immigration in particular in such an unrelatable direction. Only illegal immigration, only refugee immigration. And he talks about what we used to talk about, which is people coming in here to work in this country legally.
Stephen Kent, great to see you, my friend.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for coming back in. We're back after this in the Final Pod.
My Gotham dual power reclining